In this video, I'm going to show you how to write highly effective headlines for your Google ads. Now, when it comes to search ads on Google, the headline is undoubtedly the most important part. And in this video, I've got a bunch of examples, hopefully give you some really good ideas for things you can use that can help you get better results. So I'm in a demonstration Google ad account, and I've just gone through the new campaign creation process to get here to the ad creation level. And I've popped in my URL because that's going to be helpful for a number of different things. Now, before we start getting into the various things you might want to add in, I just want to quickly highlight what we can see up here at the top, that Google is giving us some pointers, some information to help us create better ad headlines. We can see it's going to give us an ad strength score. They recommend start by adding at least 5 headlines. These recommendations are pretty good, so I'd recommend trying to stick to them where possible. And of course, on the right hand side here, you can look at some of the ideas that Google is going to automatically create for you. Definitely recommend checking through those. They can be a bit hit and miss. Some are good, some aren't. But go through those. I'm not going to show you how to do that because obviously you can just take a look at those. I'm going to give you some other pointers, other tips and things. That's probably what you're in this video for in the first place. Okay. So the very first thing that I want to mention to include in your headlines is think about your prospect's desired outcome. When someone's searching, what do they really want? And that's obviously going to depend on whatever it is that you're selling, but it could look something like get in the best shape ever, if that's relevant to whatever it is you're selling, right? You can see how that might be what your prospect wants. That might be the outcome they want. They want to be in the best shape of their lives, okay? It could be perhaps they're searching to save money. They're spending too much on energy bills or whatever, and you could say save 60% or save 20% on, and then whatever it happens to be. So think about what your prospect wants at the end of the day, and try and include that in your headline options so that people, when they glance at your ad, can go, oh, that might help me get my desired outcome. The next thing to do with your Google Ads headlines is to try and be very specific about your offer, get it in the headline, make it very clear. So for example, if you're a service business that offers some sort of free consultation, let's say you're a roofing business, and you offer a free roofing survey or free roof survey, I don't know how you'd word it, as your entry offer. You'll come around, take a look at someone's roof, see if there's any issues, etc. Pop that in the headline. You want that very clear. Free consultation, free whatever it happens to be, free audit. If you're offering that as your front end offer for a service, get that in there. It could be something, let's say for a e-commerce business, specific around a current sale. So you could have limited time, 40% off, something like that, okay? Again, it's very specific that there's a 40% off sale going on right now. It's gonna end soon. Another great thing, if appropriate, to try and get in your headlines. Okay, so the next thing is keywords. Can you try and get your keywords that you're targeting in your headlines? That's going to resonate really well with the people that are searching. It's going to feel very relevant to them. And you can see this is something Google's recommending. So because I've popped in my URL, they come up with a bunch of examples here, and they say, look, for optimal ad performance, include these keywords in your headlines. And if I open this up, they've obviously taken some stuff from my website, Facebook lead ads, Facebook, all that sort of stuff, okay? Obviously this would be more relevant to whatever it is that you're doing. Now, one of the easiest ways to do this is to set it up dynamically, okay? So if you click shift and then on your little curly bracket sign on your keyboard, and you'll see that it gives this option for keyword insertion, okay? And if you pop keyword insertion, select that like that, what that'll do is it'll add whatever your whatever your prospect is searching for into your headline, okay? Now, it's not gonna work perfectly all the time. Sometimes it does create some weird examples, and sometimes their search term will be too long in order to be put in your keyword. So you also need to include a default text, okay? So whatever that happens to be. So let's say the default is free trial, 90 days. Let's say you're selling a software, for example. Free trial 90 days. And that's what's going to show in here instead of their keyword. As I said, if it doesn't work, doesn't fit, etc. Okay? I would normally select title case. That's where it's going to capitalize the first letter of each word. But you could go with sentence case, where it's obviously capitalized the first letter in that sentence, or lowercase, which is self-explanatory. But if we go ahead and click apply, that's exactly how that's going to work. So it's going to put the searchers, whatever it is they're searching for, into your headline, and if it can't do that, as I said, because it's too long, it's going to put in this free trial 90 days. You could come up with something else. You could use one of these other options, but that can be a great way to increase your click-through rate. And as we know, better click-through rates lead to cheaper clicks, and also Google rewards you because they can see that people are engaging with your ads, and that's always helpful. It's going to help you get better results, okay? So one of the things to go with this technique, with the dynamic keyword insertion, is using lots of different ad groups. So instead of having, just a couple ad groups with lots of terms bundled in together, you want to really break them out where possible, because you want the searches to be specific to the ad. And where you run into issues with this keyword insertion is if people are searching for things and it's being put into the headline, but that doesn't really match with the rest of the ad, because if it's kind of about that thing, but not 100% about that thing they're advertising, you can run into issues. So lots of ad groups is a top tip if you're going to use keyword insertion. Another thing you can include in your Google Ads headlines is to address objections if possible. So let's say, for example, you were selling supplements. You could have something in here like independently lab tested. And I spelled independently wrong. There we go. Independently lab tested. Because that might be an objection. People are like, oh, I'd be interested in that supplement, but yeah, I'm not sure about the reliability of that company, something like that. That could really help. Or let's say you're a contractor and you could have something like deadlines met or money back. I'm sure many of us have had experiences where you hire contractors for things, they tell you it's going to take you 2 weeks, and then 6 weeks later, they're still going. So that would be a great objection to address right up there in a headline. So have a little think about how that could apply to your products or services, and what are the hesitations that your prospects have around actually using whatever it is, your service, product, etc. Next is something you want to avoid doing. There are lots of words that are just wasted in headlines nowadays. Things that have been so overused that they just don't mean anything. When someone searches, they see an ad with those words pop up, they just gloss straight over it and completely ignore them. Examples of that would be things like award-winning. Seems every single business in the world is award-winning. Things like high quality often doesn't really mean anything. Everyone uses it. In some industries, but not all, even the word guarantee can be fairly meaningless. Sometimes that's going to mean something, but in some where it's so overused, it's not going to mean anything. Just think about, and you probably will see ads from your competitors in your industry, just think about the words that just everyone uses, that don't become a point of differentiation. They're just wasted space. We don't have much space to operate with our Google Ad headlines. You're better off leaving those out. Another top tip is to try and include numbers or statistics in your headlines where possible. You could have, for example, something like number one accountant in Bristol, okay? And just having that number in there is going to help grab people's attention. It's been shown, it's been studied a lot that numbers help grab people's attention. That could be a percentage. You could have 55% average improvement. If whatever it is you offer on average produces a 55% average improvement. So statistics, percentages, numbers, a good idea if you can get them in your ads, and it's appropriate to do so. Because what works with your Google Ad campaigns is going to be very specific to your industry and the products and services that you offer, I'd also strongly recommend that you take some time and research what your competitors are using for their Google Ad headlines. Spend some time, search around a bunch of the keywords that you are targeting yourself, and just see what comes up. You may well find things you think, oh, that's a really good idea. I could use that, or I could use something similar to that. Now, obviously, it's best not to copy outright, but perhaps something can just trigger an idea where you think, oh, they're pushing that angle of that particular product. We actually have something quite similar with our product. We should try really pushing that in our Google Ads. And the best thing is to monitor this over time, and you'll start to see patterns. So what ads stick around? What ads do your competitors not only just test, but they keep using over and over? Those are likely to be the ones that are delivering the best results and really good examples to model from. So we've covered a whole bunch just there, and hopefully you've got some good ideas. But the real secret to creating the absolute best Google Ad headlines is to test and test and test. I'm a big fan of creating tons of different headline options, testing them all out and seeing which performs best. And it's very easy to set this up initially and work out a couple options that work reasonably well and just run with that. I'd strongly encourage you to come back and test again. Do a round of testing, run it for a week, 2 weeks, see how it works, come back and do the same thing again. It really can make such a big difference over time, and you find those headline options that can produce a 50%, 100%, 200% better CTR than what you had originally, and that has a huge impact on the performance of your Google Ad campaigns. Writing headlines that generate high click-through rates is really important, but making sure you are targeting the right keywords is absolutely essential. In this video, I show you how to find keywords for your Google Ad campaigns that can deliver fantastic results. Go ahead and check it out.